What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Alolan DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. Last episode we covered Shinotic from the Generation 7 Dex, and I offered you a choice between two fire types for today's episode, and we have Magmortar or Turtonator, and Turtonator just eked out, whatever the word is, right at the end with one extra vote, so of course that's what we're covering today. But for next episode, episode 160, of course we're going Mega or Legendary, so we have a choice between Mega Salamence or Guzzlord the Ultra Beast. So would you like to see a Mega covered, in which case comment Salamence in the comment section, or would you like to see some more Ultra Beast loving? Not like that, but you guys get the idea. Then comment Guzzlord down below. But for now, let's jump in and have a look at Turtonator. Turtonator is number 776 in the National Pokédex, is a Fire Dragon type and the Blast Turtle Pokemon. It stands at 6 foot 7 inches or 2 meters tall, so it's pretty big, and also weighs 467.4 pounds or 212 kilograms. It's in the Monster and Dragon Egg groups, which makes a lot of sense being part Dragon type, and the male-female split is of course a simple 50-50. Evolution wise, it doesn't evolve from or into any other Pokemon. Currently at least we might see a pre-evolution or something later on, probably not, but you guys get the idea, but it doesn't evolve currently. In terms of base stats, its highest base stat is actually defense at 135, next down it drops to special attack at 91, special defense at 85, attack at 78, health points at 60, and finally speed at 36, so it's slow, it's physically defensive, and can deal back either a special attack, or you could even go physical attack if you really want to, because either they're both pretty high, but generally it's special attacking, but generally a defensive Pokemon, which obviously makes sense with its design. Ability wise, there's only one you can have for Turtonator because, well, it makes a lot of sense. It's shell armor, it's got a huge shell, it's good armor, which protects it from critical hits, so it works quite well with the defensive stat distribution, because if you bulk it up a bit more you can't be taken out of a random crit, which is always pretty nice. So what does the Fire Dragon typing do for us? Well, 5 resistances with Grass, Fire, Electric, Bug and Steel, with both Grass and Fire being a 4 times resistance, which is pretty good. Only 3 weaknesses in Rock, Ground and Dragon, but takes from all the rest. So I say overall it's pretty good. It's a shame there's not an immunity or 2 in there, because that would be helpful. But we do have a lot, we do have a lot of these neutral typings there, which means you're not going to take loads of damage, but you're going to take a decent amount. So you have to be careful there, but generally, yeah, pretty good I'd say. So we can have loads of moves to swing through for Turtonator, so we can try and keep it fairly brief, but you can use it a lot of different ways, because while it is defensive, it can be used offensively as well, simply because it's got a big beefy power behind it, and there's a couple of moves that help it do so as well. So, starting with level moves, first level 29 we have Flamethrower, pretty standard fire type move, special attack, pretty standard, why not run it? Level 37 is Shell Smash, which is up next. Of course, this raises your speed, your attack, and your special attack, while also lowering your defense and your special defense, but that's the trade-off, so this is where you can use it offensively here, get a Shell Smash or 2 off, and you're going to be frail, but you're going to be fast, and you're going to be doing a lot of damage. Then, next up we have a Dragon type move with Dragon Pulse at level 41, not quite as much power as Flamethrower, but generally it's good to have another stab on there, in case something resists a fire type, like a water type for example, or if some dragons happen to be on the field, you can always hit them with a nice Dragon Pulse there. Then, a few levels later at level 45 we have Shell Trap. Now this is the signature move for Turtonator and can be used offensively. So Shell Trap, basically you set up a trap, if the opponent hits that trap, you fire back with 150 base power. If they don't, obviously nothing happens, so that's sort of the trade-off you go for there. It's worth bearing in mind it has to be a physical attack for us to activate, so you can't send it in against a special attacker and expect it to go off, so really have to tailor yourself to be able to take physical attacks because you're physically defensive, and stray away from any special attackers. So the idea there of course is try and bait them into using it. Say you're low health, you can use Shell Trap, maybe you could survive it, who knows, and then you fire back. Of course it's a very, no one's really going to attack you straight away if they know you've got a Shell Trap. Of course they won't know until you use it to begin with, so you gotta play it a bit safe there. The last level move though is Overheat at level 49, more powerful than Flamethrower at 130 base power, less accuracy at 90% only, but of course also reduces your special attack once you use it, so it's a last ditch effort basically. So consistent damage is Flamethrower, a lot of damage is Overheat. Then TMs are up next, starting off with TM05 Roar. Of course this roars the opponent out. Why would you want to use this? Well, of course defensive is the other way you can play it, and Roar is always helpful for that in case a special attacker comes in, you can always roar them back out. Hand in hand with this is TM12 Taunt, why you want to get rid of some Pokemon. You want to sort of bait some to stay in and say you can do what you want, but I'm not going to force you out because I can deal decent damage to you, basically. So Taunt, of course, forces them to attack you, which can be used quite well with Taunt, and then Shell Trap if they're a physical attacker, because either they switch out and you get a free turn, and obviously depending on the battle sort of state, they might either decide to switch out and to play safe, or they might decide to just attack you anyway. And of course you can then Shell Trap that and do a lot of damage back. Now most experienced players won't do that because they'll see the Shell Trap coming and they will switch out, but you can always catch some inexperienced people off guard. Next up is a physical attack here with TM26 Earthquake. One downside to the special attacking side of Turtonator is the sort of lack of coverage. It's not terrible coverage at all, but there's no ground type move, for example, there's no earth power. So if you really want to use Earthquake to cover, ground, or ground, it's fire types, so other fire types, otherwise they completely wall you basically, Earthquake is a decent option to run. Then more fire with TM38 Fire Blast, more powerful than Flamethrower, not quite as powerful as Overheat, but doesn't have the downside of the special attack reduction. Of course, only 85% accuracy though, so you've got to play it sort of, less. It's not inconsistent, it's not detrimental to you, but of course it won't hit all the time, basically. Then, lastly, or last for this page, I suppose you could say, we have TM52 Focus Blast, even worse accuracy at only 70%, slightly more power at 120. Of course, it's just good coverage for you. Hit those rock types, steel types you don't need to hit, of course, but it's always good to carry a Focus Blast for that damage, because it's just a lot of damage. Of course, you're never going to hit it, because that's how Focus Blast works, but you could always run it like that. Shifting on then, last few TMs. First we have TM61 Will-O-Wisp, of course, using defensive wise. Of course, Will-O-Wisp will always be helpful to you. You can burn the opponent, any physical attackers there will get nullified. Only 85% accuracy, unfortunately, but you can still hit it every now and again. And it's quite helpful to you, because then you're already pretty good physically defensive wise, and of course that's going to do, make them do even less to you, which is always handy. Then 10 TMs later we have TM71 Stone Edge, another physical move. So if you're running Earthquake, you can also run this because you have physical investments. Only 80% accuracy, of course, and only 100 base power, but good coverage again. Rock types allows you to hit flying types, ice types, of course you don't need to help with. Bug types, again you don't need to help with, you guys get the idea. And the last TM then we have is TM91 Flash Cannon, so another special attack here, thankfully, so a bit more coverage. It's not overly helpful for you, it allows you to hit rock types again though, which is decently helpful, so that's the reason you want to run that. And the last move we then have is a tutor move, and that is Draco Meteor, of course. Dragon type, why not? 130 base power, 90% accuracy, more powerful than Dragon Pulse, but of course it will lower your special attack after you use it, so you have to be careful whether you're going there for consistent damage or a nuke, basically. So if we then move on from the moves to the sets, we're going to look at two sets, one being offensive and the other one being defensive, and we'll see where we go from there. So in terms of moves for the first set, we have Overheat or Fire Blast or Flamethrower, Draco Meteor or Dragon Pulse, Focus Blast or Flash Cannon, Earthquake or Stone Edge. Ability of course is Shell Armor, Nature is Modest or Quiet depending on what you're running, Held Item is a Choice Specs or a Life Orb, again depending on how you want to play it, and then EV wise we have maximum health points, maximum special attack, and the last two in special defense. So of course we'll start with the moves. In the first slot we have a fire type stab, so the choice here is Overheat, Fire Blast or Flamethrower. Flamethrower, as we discussed before, is consistent damage but less damage. Fire Blast is less consistent but still a lot more, a bit more damage, whereas Overheat is less consistent and of course is detrimental to you in the case of you only able to use it once, but of course it's more damage overall. So there's a sort of scale there. In terms of which one you want to run, it depends on the held item, I suppose. Choice specs, of course, you're only locked into a single move, so Overheat might be more helpful there because you can go in, choice specs, Overheat, boom, and lots of damage, and then you can switch out. So you don't have to worry about the special attack reductions. Whereas if you're in a Life Orb, of course, the idea is to be in battle be a bit more flexible. So you can get Flamethrower. Oh, they sent out a a rock type. I'm going to use Flash Cannon. A bit flexible like that. Whereas, of course, if you use Overheat, then you're going to do less damage. It can be tempered though with the Earthquake or the Stone Edge in the last slot, so you have another move you can use, but of course it's not to be relied upon. So those are your choices there. Similarly, Draco Meteor or Dragon Pulse, probably want to run Draco Meteor if you've got choice specs, or Dragon Pulse if you've got a Life Orb. Focus Blast or Flash Cannon is up to you here, it's just a coverage move. I'd probably recommend Flash Cannon. Focus Blast will do more damage, so again, might be more helpful if you're running a choice specs because you can just hit huge damage with one attack, whereas Flash Cannon's, a bit more consistent, hence Life Orb was a better suit for it. The last slot of Earthquake or Stone Edge is up to you. I'd recommend Earthquake just because, again, it's a more consistent attack because it's got better accuracy than Stone Edge, and of course it helps generally cover a few more types. Electric, for example, would be one, whereas Stone Edge, yes, it covers flying, but I don't think you really need too much up against flying types because you can generally hit them for decent damage with other moves. So just my thoughts there. Ability, of course, is Shell Armor, it's more available. Nature is modest or quiet, so you can go for modest and go for the full special attack. You could, if you're running this nature, think about maybe just having Focus Blast and Flash Cannon in the last 2 slots and forget about a physical attack. Whereas if you are deciding to run a physical attack, you might want to run the quiet nature, which of course is going to boost your special attack but only lower your speed, so it doesn't completely nullify the physical attacking side. In which case, yes, you then run Earthquake or Stone Edge in the last slot. You could run both physical attacks if you really wanted to, but generally it's good to have either Focus Blast or Flash Cannon for some form of coverage there that can do decent damage. Choice Specs or Life Orb is a choice up to you entirely. I've already spoken about how the moves will change depending on which item you're using, so there's not too much to say there. And then in terms of EVs, we have health points for bulk, special attack for power, and special defense just to eke that bit up a bit to come level with the physical defense there. In terms of using the set, of course, is either a choice set or a Life Orb set. Choice means, of course, you have to go in, fire a nuke off like Overheat or Draco Meteor, and then generally switch out unless you've used Earthquake or something. Whereas Life Orb is more a case of go in and do damage over time. You can still do more damage because, of course, Life Orb, but you won't be forced to switch out after your first attack because you won't have any stat drops, and you can be a bit more flexible with it in that sense there. But if we then move on to the second set, a nice defensive set, it's a bit simpler here. In terms of moves, we have Will-O-Wisp, Roar, Shell Trap, and Taunt. Ability, same as Shell Armor once again. Calm Nature this time, and Leftovers as a held item, with maximum health points EVs, maximum special defense EVs, and special attack EVs. So the idea here is you go in, if it's a physical attacker, you Will-O-Wisp them because you have Will-O-Wisp, so that's the idea there. That's why we're not investing anything into physical defense in our EVs because it's already pretty high, and we can use Will-O-Wisp to, drive it technically even higher up. Roar is there as the option in case a special attacker does come in because, say it's a water type or something similar to that, you don't really want to deal with it, so you can always roar them out. Shell Trap is our only way to deal damage in this set apart from the Will-O-Wisp. So we want to rely on taunting and then shell trapping, or just shell trapping to put the opponent in a bit of a nullify situation. Either they don't attack you, in which case they have to set up of some sort. You can taunt them, so you taunt them and then they have to switch out, and they're just going back and forth. So you shell trap, and of course, if they send a special attacker in, you roar them out, and they're forced to attack you eventually. In which case, you can activate the shell trap hopefully and do some nice damage. Taunt in the last slot, as I said, works well with the Roar and the Shell Trap. Roar out any special attackers, taunt any physical attacks that might want to set up on you, so they can't do that, and then Shell Trap once they're in that spot there. Shell Armor is the ability, we've seen that before. Calm Nature in this case increases our special defense even more, lowers our physical attacks when we're not using it. So we just put loads of special defense in there because, as I mentioned, the Will-O-Wisp is going to nullify any physical attackers anyway with our already high physical defense, so we don't need to invest anything in there. We just want to make sure we have some decent special bulk to be able to last out against the special attackers that do come in before we can roar them out. Leftovers is a held item as a form of help and restoration. Of course, we're not running Protect or anything here. You could if you really wanted to, so you could run Protect rather than Roar, or Protect or Taunt, or something, and then of course you'd have double Leftovers because you'd be able to protect every other turn. It's less fun that way, but you could still do it. And in terms of EVs, we have maximum bulk basically in special, and then a few in special attack just to give us a bit of power on that Shell Trap. So the idea, as mentioned, is any special attackers that switch on you, you roar them out. Any physical attackers that come in, you either Will-O-Wisp them to begin with so you nullify their damage, or you can Shell Trap them to predict some form of attack, or you can say, right, they're too clever to actually attack me, they're going to try and set up on me with a sword stance or something, so I'm going to taunt them to prevent that sword stance, forcing them to switch out, otherwise they have to take a Shell Trap. So that's the idea, that's the thought process behind it. Of course, if a special attacker keeps coming in and you can't roar out in time, so say it's like a special ground type attacker, they switch in, they then use Earth Power the next turn, you're not faster than them, so you're taking that damage. Of course, they're just going to switch them in and out and just keep doing that damage to you, so of course you might want to switch out and be kind of careful in that sense there. But that is going to be it for Turtonator today, guys, so don't forget to vote for episode 160, either Salamence and Mega Salamence or Guzzlord. Let me know down below by commenting either of those in the comment section below. But for now, this is going to be it for today, so I shall see you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.